Hello, friends, and welcome to NFL Daily, brought to you by the Draft app. I'm Tom Downey. That's Mitchell Renz, folks. I have to apologize for my disgusting attire that I am wearing today. As you'll see later on in the show, I lost the weekly fantasy bet that we had.
That you did.
The punishment was to wear a Joe Flacco jersey because he is far from elite, and my fantasy team was anything but elite.
Yeah, no, that's an understatement. I almost felt like it was too mean to make anybody wear a Joe Flacco jersey.
Maybe we'll mix it up next week, and maybe we can eat some bad food instead.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Here's what we have on tap for you guys today. We'll talk some fantasy football, of course. It is the NFL Daily Fantasy Football edition this week. We will talk Monday Night Football highlights. We'll talk a little bit about Colin Kaepernick. And we got a guest today, Andy Holloway of the Fantasy Footballers. You got him on the show, Mitchell.
Yeah, Andy and I are good friends. I'm a writer at the Fantasy Footballers, and him and I hung out a little bit in Toronto. So thank you, Andy, for coming on, and he's a really smart guy. Give him a follow on Twitter at Andy Holloway.
He'll be coming on right around the 6:25 Eastern mark. Before that, though, we're going to take a look here at the fantasy leaders for Week 2. We start with quarterbacks. It is a quarterback-heavy show, all the way down from my attire to our topics for today. And Tom Brady returned to form, over almost 31 fantasy points. Carson Wentz had a nice day in a losing effort. And Trevor Siemian, out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by that. I mean, the guy put up 4 touchdowns. I mean, the guy looks really good. He's in total control of that offense. It's a kind of exciting to see for him.
Drew Brees had a quality day. Derek Carr had a nice game as well. Aaron Rodgers, after a pretty rough first half, managed to rebound, finished with about 18.5 fantasy points. He actually saved you in our play draft league.
Yes, he did.
There was a point where I'm like, oh, I might not lose.
I know Aaron Rodgers doing his best Blake Bortles impression, getting some garbage time points, so I'm definitely not upset about it. Deshaun
Watson, thanks to a long touchdown run right before the half, is in the top 10. Big Ben had a quality game. Phillip Rivers fared pretty well, and Alex Smith is continuing to put up numbers.
Yeah, but he's not putting up the normal numbers he put up last week. Come back down to earth.
Head now to the halfbacks. Again, focus is based on PPR scoring. CJ Anderson, huge game.
Man, help me to a win over my Uncle Wayne in my family league. So thank you for that, CJ Anderson.
Ty Montgomery had a quality game. Todd Gurley, Kareem Hunt, another big one. He remains the #1 fantasy scorer by a pretty significant margin, actually.
Yeah, I think it's by 30 points.
Yeah.
I mean, he is in a dream
71
situation.
and 48.
Wow.
It's
that's
a
amazing.
huge difference. Chris Thompson had 2 carries, but they went for 77 yards and 2 scores, plus he got his normal action on the receiving end.
He looked good. It's he got some opportunity that Rob Kelly went down, so good for Chris Thompson.
And now to the second page here of our halfback leaders, Devonta Freeman, Javoris Allen, who we'll talk about later on in the show in the waiver wire section. Melvin Gordon didn't do actually that much on the ground, but he was fine through the air.
Yeah, he keeps getting the rock. He's going to get a lot of attempts in that new offense that the Chargers are running, and he looks good.
Jalen Richard, they're kind of a little bit in garbage time, but it still counts for anyone who managed to play him. And then James White, quickly becoming a very reliable PPR player.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get 13 to 15 touches every week right now at the running back position, that's something you definitely want to invest in.
Michael Crabtree almost won me my league, and then Jordy Nelson got hurt.
Yeah, Crabtree, 3 touchdowns, showing again why he is the red zone monster on that team and why he was second in the league or third in the league last year in red zone targets.
Devontae Adams stepped up with an injury to Jordy Nelson. J.J. Nelson had a really good game with another injury due to John Brown. And then Jermaine Kearse, a couple of nice touchdowns in that one against the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, probably the only bright spot for the Jets.
Mike Evans, another high-quality day. If you own him, had a really nice touchdown catch in that game. Alshon Jeffrey scored. Alan Hearn scored. Jarvis Landry just caught a bunch of balls.
13 catches for 71 yards. That in itself is hard to do.
Absolutely. And then Keenan Allen there with 19 fantasy points. Those are your Week 2 receiving leaders. Receivers only there, folks. Up next here, again, folks, we want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by the Draft app. Little Monday night highlight action. You ready for this one? This one was an interesting game. Before we get to that, folks, again, today's show brought to you by the Draft app. Head to draft.com/chatsports. If you are a fantasy fan, and I know you are, Mitchell, they have this is, first off, the highest rated fantasy football app. None of the other ones are rated higher than this one. You can play in a real live snake draft and be done in under 5 minutes. It's what we love so much about the fantasy season. The draft.
Oh, so many drafts. It's like Christmas, we were saying before, and anytime that we can do multiple drafts, we do them all the time here. We probably should have done the draft we did off camera. I won that one, so.
There you go. The best part, playing for cold hard cash, and get this, your chances of winning are better than on the salary cap sites. All new players get a free entry into a real money draft when you make your first deposit. If you use promo code ChatSports when you sign up, head to draft.com/chatsports, and they'll give you that free entry in a money league.
Wow, free entry, better chance of winning. It's a no-brainer to me.
Absolutely. And one more thing here, listeners of NFL Daily, they are giving you a money-back guarantee up to $100. It's a win-win-win.
Wow.
With maybe another win too, because I'm not very good at math. But head to the Play Store, search draft, or just go to draft.com/chatsports. It'll take you right there. A couple notable injuries we want to mention here as well before we get to the highlights. Corey Coleman, he is on IR, a broken hand.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him. Ever since he was the highest, he was drafted in 2015, the highest wide receiver out of that draft. So it's kind of upsetting to see out of Baylor. Those Baylor receivers, man, they have not been successful in the NFL.
Gronk is day-to-day with a groin injury. We're told that it's nothing serious, which is a good thing given Gronk's injury history.
Yeah, I think he's going to play. I think he just kind of rested because they were in total control of that game at halftime, up 30-13.
Two players that were not super clear on here. Tyler Eifert is now battling back and knee injuries. His status was described as uncertain.
Yeah, well, the injury history to Eifert is very certain. In his last 4 seasons, he's missed 27 games. Can't stay healthy.
And one near and dear to my heart, Jordy Nelson has a quad issue. He's described as 50-50 for the Week 3 matchup against the Bengals.
I was really surprised, and we saw it back in 2015 how much the Packers offense missed Jordy. So hopefully he can get on the field, and hopefully Rodgers produces some points.
And then perhaps the biggest injury in terms of long-term impact, Greg Olsen broke his foot. He is headed to IR. Now there's a chance that he ends up returning, but for fantasy owners, this is a guy they probably took early, was most likely one of the first 5 tight ends taken off the draft board. Now he's out for, we'll just call it half the fantasy year.
Yeah, which is, I mean, this guy is the picture of consistency when you look at the tight end position. 3 straight years, 1,000 yards, and he hasn't missed a game since 2007, so this is upsetting.
It is time then for some Monday night football highlights. Lions at the Giants. We will take you to MetLife Stadium. First quarter, it's the Lions who strike first. Matt Stafford on 3rd and long finds Marvin Jones, who just outmuscled Eli Apple for the grab. 7-0 Lions. First play of the second quarter, Manning will find rookie Evan Ingram for his first career touchdown catch. It's 7-7 now. The Giants defense would step up. Jason Pierre-Paul strip sacks Matthew Stafford. It was ruled as a fumble. Devin Kennard recovered it. But Mitchell, on the very next play, Eli Manning drops back, and he's picked off by Taylor Whitehead. Threw it behind Evan Ingram. The Lions take over with great field position there after the Manning mistake, and they took advantage of it as well, as Matthew Stafford will find Eric Ebron, a guy we'll talk about later on in the show, for the score. Just like that, it is 14-7 Lions. And then before the half, Matt Prater from 56, he doinks it in. Off the front upright and in. It is 17-7 at the half. Fourth quarter, the Giants got a field goal in the third. But watch this play by Jamal Agnew. Almost muffs the punt, makes one guy miss, breaks a tackle, makes the punter look foolish, breaks his ankles, and he is off to the races. This is the dagger, 88 yards on the punt return. The Lions win 24-10. Odell Beckham did play, didn't make a great impact though.
I think you could tell he was kind of banged up a little bit, and this Giants offense, again, really struggling. They really need Becky, the icebox O'Shea, out there on the field for him.
Matt Stafford only had 122 yards, but there were 2 TDs as well. The offense in this one didn't look that great. It was a big punt return there by Jamal Agnew, the rookie. That kind of ended the game for the Giants offense, which once again looked really bad in this one.
Really stagnant. That offensive line is an absolute train wreck right now, and Eli Manning has got happy feet back there, and receivers aren't getting open. Brandon Marshall looks old.
Ben McAdoo very much criticized Eli Manning in the post-game press conference, said a lot of the mistakes were on Manning, not the offensive line, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
But it brings us to what's been a kind of a common theme early this year, both in the NFL and in the fantasy world. The quarterback play has not been great. Hasn't been what we expected. We'll take you here to the bottom 5 quarterbacks, and folks, this is only on players who have started both games. So no Scott Tolzien, no Jacoby Brissett, no Cutler. Cutler would have been on the list here, but he only played 1 game. Yeah. So the bottom 5 guys, Deshaun Kaiser, now he missed some time, but he still qualified. Had he not qualified, it would have actually ended up being the guy's jersey I'm wearing, Joe Flacco. Blake Bortles at the bottom 4 there. Running at the bottom 3, Eli Manning, who we mentioned. And then look at the last 2 guys on this list here. Andy Dalton, who had that brutal week 1 effort with negative points, and Brian Hoyer, who has been very bad.
Well, I think we undersold Shanahan going to the 49ers. I mean, he's got a very complex scheme, and I think Brian Hoyer is struggling with it a little bit. I mean, we talk about the fact that Matt Ryan in his first year in that scheme had 21 touchdowns, 16 picks. It's not that easy, and they also played the Seahawks, who are very tough at home.
The common theme there with those bottom 2 players, Andy Dalton and Brian Hoyer, is that they both have been linked here to Colin Kaepernick.
Ooh.
We obviously Kaepernick played for the Niners last year, and he opted out of his contract because he was going to get cut. And now there's been some buzz from Pro Football Talk and then from Mitchell here. You had an article on it. The Bengals locker room has expressed some interest in getting Kaepernick on the roster and getting him to be the QB for the Bengals.
Yeah, which I find surprising. I still think they should keep Dalton in there. They've had some tough matchups, and I really hope it can't get any worse. I mean, Houston is a tough defense, especially on a short Thursday night. But we need to see some sort of turnaround. I mean, Ken Zampese just got fired, and I think this is should be a better week for them against the Packers.
So, folks, get your comments in here on if you buy this one. I actually do buy it a little bit. I don't buy the idea of the Bengals adding Kaepernick, but I do buy the idea that there's frustration within that locker room.
There should be.
We saw it come out of A.J. Green where he was not happy at all. He got 2 targets in the second half of the game against Houston with their starting cornerbacks out. That was unacceptable. They made the change at coordinator to fire Ken Zampese. I can see why the Bengals players would want it, but I also would have a tough time seeing the Bengals make that move. I mean, it was a notable firing. It's the first time in franchise history the Bengals have fired a coordinator without firing the head coach. They are loyal to a fault, and oftentimes I think it is a fault.
Yeah.
So even if they were to bench Dalton, who frankly hasn't looked all that great, my guess is that they would give A.J. McCarron a featured chance here.
Yeah, I think either way. I don't really know if it's as much Andy Dalton's fault as it's the offensive line doesn't look good, and the receivers aren't getting open. But A.J. Green needs to be targeted more. When you see a player like A.J. Green get frustrated and expresses frustration, you know there's some serious issues going on.
Well, getting out to a reaction poll, sticking with the Kaepernick theme here, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how sick of you guys are you of the Kaepernick talk? 1 to 2, give us a love for keep talking. A 3 to 5 means it's fine. A haha, which is in that 6 to 8 range, means oh my God, just enough already, please. And a 9 to 10 means that you're boycotting the NFL.
Well, I'm definitely not boycotting the NFL, or else I don't know if I'd have a job. But for me, it's 3 to 5. It's fine. I personally think Kaepernick should be in the league. I mean, when you see the amount of quarterback play that it has been going on, as we were saying before, it has been poor. But I still don't think Kaepernick's a better option than Andy Dalton.
I am somewhere in the. I think it's more or less fine. Like I think it's pretty easy to tune out certain things if we have to as fans. I don't think it's all that difficult. Again, folks, get your reaction votes in here. I've seen some comments flowing on other stuff outside of Kaepernick. I'm sure we can get to those throughout the show. So I'm on the it's fine side of things. And again, folks, one more reminder here. In about 7 minutes, we will be doing a live draft on the Draft app. It's all QBs this week. We're each of us, me, you, producer Brett Scott, friend of the show Harris Rubenstein, we're going to pick 5 quarterbacks.
4 teams, 5 quarterbacks. That's going to be fun.
That's going to be really interesting.
I'm excited.
Some comments here. This one coming in from friend of the show, James Yoder, says, I need a wide receiver. Who you got on the waiver wire at receiver, Mitch?
It's a good question. I would say, James, you should probably look at my waiver wire article that it's on chatsports.com. But if not, I like Nelson Aguilar, 2 straight games with a touchdown. He's been involved in the offense. He got 3 targets last week against a tough Chiefs defense, but Nelson Aguilar is not bad. Cooper Kupp's out there. He's been very involved in that offense, and he's been getting the ball when they need it the most. So I would look into those 2 guys.
This comment coming in from Colt Bundy says, Kareem Hunt is going to win Rookie of the Year for sure. Go KC. I think it's only been 2 weeks, but Hunt by far is the choice.
Oh, he's currently on pace. Listen to this: for 2,840 yards from scrimmage and 40 touchdowns. The NFL record is 2,510. Those are
unreal.
Madden numbers. Those are laughable.
That is absolutely unreal figures there. Oh, goodness me. Another comment here coming in from Jason about the 49ers here and Brian Hoyer. Says they played the Panthers and Seahawks back-to-back, saying that those are good defense, which is fair.
Oh, yeah, those are good defenses, and that's why I think we need to take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I'd also point out that they haven't really looked all that good either.
Oh, no, they haven't. I will say Carlos Hyde, I thought, looked good. The Seahawks, the last 2 seasons, have only given up 2 100-yard rushing games. Both of those are to Carlos Hyde.
Anthony Holder here, our local Miami Dolphins fan, says draft Cutler, Landry, Stills, and Parker. They're going to destroy the Jets. My actual genuine concern, because I am considering adding Jay Cutler in one league as a QB, my concern is that it's going to be a blowout and Jay Ajayi is going to get like 30 carries and they're just never going to throw the ball.
Well, if anyone, you should know that Crabtree just had 3 touchdowns last week. They're going to score in the Jets, but it'll be a blowout. Yeah, put them in your lineup. Probably doesn't hurt.
Another reaction poll here, folks. We want to get your votes in here. Give us a wow if your fantasy team won big, a wow face if you won barely, and an angry face if they lost. I hate to say this, Mitchell, because I went undefeated last week.
Oh, man.
I lost every league this week, and most of them were not all that close.
Hey, well, you definitely need to look at my waiver wire article then. But
my team was, I'm not sure how many moves I'm going to make. It was that I had some very high shares of LaShawn McCoy, mostly in standard leagues.
Oh,
so he laid a goose egg in my main money league, Jimmy Graham.
Yep, another goose egg. Yeah.
And Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, that's going to do it. I mean, I won, I think, in 3 out of my 4 leagues, my major leagues, but I had Gronk, a lot of C.J. Anderson, and those guys really helped me out. Drew Brees as well.
Well, we mentioned the waiver wire here. Let's go ahead and quickly take a look here at a couple of names. We'll come back to this later in the show. This before we do our play draft app here. We'll start with a receiver that you mentioned earlier, J.J. Nelson. He started in place of John Brown. He went off in week 1.
I think what we see is J.J. Nelson is the guy that can really stretch the field, and the Cardinals are a team that likes to throw the ball vertically. Bruce Arians, Carson Palmer, that's what they like to do, and filling in for John Brown, he's a guy who can stretch the field, but I think it's also a little bit to do with the Colts defense.
Next player on our list here, we're going to go away from receiver. We're going to go to running back here. We're going to go to Samaje Perine. We'll mention him again in the show once our friend Andy Holloway comes on. But Perine, this is a guy that you like a lot, and now Rob Kelly is battling an injury. Yeah,
Rob Kelly's dealing with some rib injuries, but Perine coming out of Oklahoma, the all-time leading rusher out of Oklahoma, and he actually had a game one time against Kansas in 2014 where he rushed for 427 yards.
Unreal game.
5 touchdowns, but Perine's got legs the size of tree trunks. I think he compares well to Michael Turner. Some other people might disagree with that, but good pickup.
As producer Brett Scott mentioned behind the scenes to me here, it was Kansas. So we'll stick with the halfbacks here. We'll skip down to Buck Allen. He got a lot of touches and the bulk of the snaps, even though it was kind of more of this is a blowout game, let's pound the football. That's a sign to me that Allen, with Woodhead hurt, has already vaulted past Terrence West.
I think he has, and 40 touches in 2 games cannot be undersold. If we can find a running back like that in today's NFL, that's something that you're looking for, and he is by far the better pass catcher than Terrence West.
And that's kind of a similar theme here with the next halfback on our list, and one Chris Carson. This is not something I expected. I was not high on Chris Carson coming out, in large part because he wasn't even the best running back on his team last year by a significant margin. It was Justice Hill. In stats, carries, everything in the way they played. But Carson, now in Seattle, Eddie Lacy was a healthy scratch. Thomas Rawls didn't have much going. He's often hurt. Procise kind of went more of a third down back. All of a sudden, Chris Carson is the #1 back in Seattle.
Not only is he the #1 back, what I really like when I watch Carson is he gets better as the game goes on. First quarter, he averaged 3 yards per carry. Second quarter, he averaged 4, and then we're getting tired when the team defense is getting more tired. Third quarter, 6 yards, and then the fourth quarter, you can see there 7.3 yards per carry on 8 carries. He got stronger as the game went on, and that's what the Seahawks want to do. Yes, that offensive line is weak, but if they can still run the ball, create some play action for Wilson, get guys open like Baldwin, that's what the Seahawks want to do, and that's why I like Carson.
Head down to one more player here on our list before we get to our little play draft here as the 4 of us, with you, me, producer Brett Scott, and our friend Harris Rubenstein. Draft 5 quarterbacks for this week. Next player here on our list, receiver here, Nelson Aguilar, guy that you've mentioned to me several times even before today's show.
Well, I think when we talk about receivers, we always hear that the third year breakout, and this is the 3rd year for Aguilar. I think he's a big reason why Jordan Matthews was let go by the team.
Totally was.
7 catches, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the first 2 games. Sure, he only had 1 catch for 9 yards, but he's being targeted in the most important spots on the field, the red zone, when they need first downs, and that's why I like Aguilar. And to continue he should be pretty good. The Eagles are passing the ball more than almost any team in the NFL. They're definitely not going to run.
For you, is this a guy, even though he only had the one catch in week 2, is this a guy that has now become the number 2 option in Philadelphia at receiver? I'm excluding Zach Ertz there.
I was going to say, if you exclude Zach Ertz there,
Zach Ertz.
but no, I think he is. He's getting targeted, and the Eagles throw the ball, I think, the 5th most in the NFL so far. So.
All right, folks, it is time for today's draft segment here, brought to you by the Draft app. We are doing a 5-round QB-only draft. The thing I love so much about this particular app, there are all different types of leagues you can do. These 1-week leagues, standard, custom, PPR, QB only. You can have some fun with it. Now Harris Rubenstein here is on the clock here. I am very confident he is going to go with Tom Brady.
Yeah,
we mentioned this last week. Harris, God love him, is a huge Patriots fan. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't go Tom Brady.
Aaron
He didn't
Rodgers.
go Tom Brady.
I like
Maybe
it, though.
He can hear me. Maybe he did that just to stick it to
us.
me.
Well,
You're on the clock now.
I'm on the clock, and I'm probably going to go with Tom Brady. I mean, we looked at the numbers that he put up last week, 447 yards and 3 touchdowns. Absolutely tore up that Saints defense. And, yeah, sure, Houston's a tougher matchup, but Brady looked good.
I'm not surprised here. Producer Brett Scott has quickly taken Matt Ryan. I was kind of upset that I got the
4th pick.
the turn here because I thought, those are the clear top 3 here. The draft app says my top guys, as you can see on your screen here: Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson. I'm going to go in a different direction here. I'm not super confident about this one, but I'm going to go with Drew Brees here for my first pick. I feel like no matter what, he's going to be like a top 10 QB.
Yeah.
And at the turn, I kind of like that safety pick there. My next one here, I don't love this pick, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway.
I think I know what you're going to do.
What do you think that I'm going to do?
I think you're going to take Newton.
I am taking Cam Newton, actually. You are correct. I was waffling there between Newton and Derek Carr, but I figure, okay, I'm hoping now for a Saints-Panthers shootout. And Newton does not look great, but this is the Saints defense. I'm going matchup here.
Saints defense has looked really bad. They got torched by Sam Bradford. And then, realistically, I think the Patriots could have scored 60 points.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So now what? I'm on the clock, right?
Yeah, producer Brett Scott behind the scenes took Matthew Stafford.
That's not bad. I'm going to go with, I'm probably going to go with Derek Carr against Washington. I think that game could be a higher scoring game, and Derek Carr looks pretty good.
I was thinking about that one. My concern is that the yardage might not be that high.
Nah, if he throws for 3 touchdowns, I won't be upset.
So now we are back here at the turn with our friend Harris Rubenstein here. End of round 2, start of round 3. So he didn't get Brady. And you can see here the quarterback picks so far. I love the design of this app, by the way.
Oh, it's so simple. It's so easy.
This is so simple. It's easy there. He goes Dak Prescott here with his first selection. What do you make of this one? Against Arizona.
Well, Arizona hasn't looked good, but I think they're going to go back to running the ball a little bit more. We saw that they only ran the ball 14 times last week. So, but just like you did a stack, I'm going to do a stack of my own, and I'm going to take Kirk Cousins.
You're not up yet.
I'm not up yet.
You just got snaked.
Dang it. Dang it. I thought I was on the clock. Oh, that is so depressing.
It went Big Ben from Harris, and then producer Brett slid in there and snaked Kirk Cousins from you.
Oh, man. Oh, now.
Which I'm disappointed because I got what,
13 seconds
I actually really like this pick for Kirk. Like this matchup for Kirk Cousins, big I think is a really good one.
Who's on the clock?
You're on the clock.
I can't.
Oh no, sorry. No, I'm sorry. You did get Kirk Cousins. That was my fault. Producer Brett Scott took Alex Smith, so my bad.
Oh.
You got your guy after all.
Whew. I was gonna say I was going into panic mode a little bit there.
So now I'm on the clock here, and I'm not really sure where I'm going to go. I really don't like these options at all. I'm going to go ahead and take Phillip Rivers here with my first pick. Hope that it ends up being a classic Phillip game where he just throws it a bunch. I'm looking at Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota. I really don't like any of these options here, but I'm going to go with Russell and hope that I can get like a rushing touchdown.
There you go.
I am not feeling confident this week about my chances here. I worry I'm going to have to wear the Joe Flacco jersey for a second straight week, which would not make me happy, folks. Once again, today's show is brought to you by the Draft app. Head to draft.com/chatsports. Use the promo code chatsports when you sign up. They'll give you a free $3 entry to use in a live draft for real money, folks. It's the best fantasy app out there, the highest rated one as well.
I took Trevor Siemian.
You know, I actually like that pick.
He's right now tied with Matthew Stafford
pick.
for touchdowns in the NFL, so why not?
I have a league where I'm starting Carson Palmer right now, unfortunately, and I'm thinking about adding him.
Well, it's definitely not a bad ad. He might be in our MVP rankings this week.
I mean, I think he kind of has to be.
Does he?
Hint, hint. Like the page NFL by Chat Sports. You'll get notified when we go live every weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Ooh, Smoking Jay Cuddy.
Smoking Jay Cutler. I'm thinking about Simeon and Cutler in that same Palmer league here. Jared Goff goes off the board. Harris is a big Jared Goff fan.
Jared Goff. Hey, I'm a big Jared Goff fan. He's been playing well. So I'm looking through this. I don't want to do Eli. I don't want to do Carson. Joe Flacco's kind of stinks. So,
yes, we can confirm. Again, folks, I lost last week's bet here. I have to wear the Joe Flacco jersey.
I'm going to go Andy Dalton.
You know, I was probably going to do that at my pick, actually.
I'm hoping Green Bay blows them out. Some garbage points. I don't care how I get them, and as long as I can get the points.
So Jameis Winston has gone off the board, which leaves me really with one option for me. I'm looking at two guys here with the last pick. Carson Wentz in a matchup that I really, really don't like. So I'm going to go with Carson Palmer and hope I get the yardage game we saw against the Lions in a, what frankly is not that great of a Cowboys pass defense.
Yeah, no, they definitely got exposed last week. So
Breeze, Newton, Rivers, Wilson, and Palmer, I don't know about that one there. That has me worried a little bit. Once again, folks, that was brought to you by the Draft app. Head to draft.com/chatsports. You'll get a free entry when you sign up. And again, folks, here's why you should play Draft. You want the fun and the excitement of drafting your team without the hassle of the waiver wires and the salary cap stuff. And that's where Draft comes in. And then you draft your team whenever you want. You guys just saw it. It took us about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
that was all it took for us to do. Live daily fantasy snake drafts. They take minutes to complete. It is the highest rated fantasy app in the iOS store or in the Google Play Store. You join now. Use promo code ChatSports when you sign up, and you'll get a free $3 entry with your deposit. Again, that's draft.com/chatsports. When we come back here, we're going to have Andy Holloway of the Fantasy Footballers joining us. In the meantime, folks, take a look at the worst plays from Week 2 of the NFL. You know, we start over in Denver. You see the ref telling everyone to get off the field. There was an hour-plus long weather delay. Everyone involved was just going for why? There was a lightning delay. There was lightning in the area. It was unfortunate.
I love how they're using the camera to go in on a place that might have had lightning.
This is a great punt by Chris Jones, wasted by Xavier Woods at the corner of your screen there. He just forgets where he is. He just keeps backing up. And then he forgot, and it ends up being a touchback, and it could have been down at the 5. Brutal.
Not you want to see.
More special teams. This is Tariq Cohen. You got to just let it bounce.
There's no reason to touch this ball.
What are you doing, bro?
No.
Don't pick that ball up.
It's a
Bucks
trick.
Take over.
It's a trick. You're not supposed to touch it. That's the whole point. They want you to touch it.
John Fox, facepalm. And we had to have at least one Mike Glennon play. He just kind of lost it.
It's just
Levante David gets the fumble recovery.
Reminds me when Drew Lock in this last week just kind of like
some bruh blocking there too.
Just dropped the ball.
More fumbles. This is Alex Collins, recently signed. Gets some nice yards, but he fumbles the ball.
He's going back to the practice squad.
Coley picks it up. He's rumbling, and then he fumbles the ball, but luckily Nate Orchard dives on it for the Browns. It was kind of a meaningless game there.
Nice forced fumble by the center, though. I like the helmet to the ball.
Last play of the game for the Bills. Zay Jones,
no. Oh,
he knows it, too. Tyrod Taylor, how do you feel? Oh, no. Oh, no.
Jeez.
So close. Oh, look at it again. Just off his fingertips. It was almost an incredible play. More special teams issues. This is somebody named Khalif Raymond.
Who?
Who? Tried to call for the fair catch. Bounces right off his hands, and the Raiders recover. Look at it. Oh, no.
I would never want to be a professional punt returner. I'll put it that way. Punt returning sounds awful.
So Todd Bowles, how do you feel about that play there for your Jets?
Let's take a look.
That sums it up right there.
That's not great. He's
More
so
in this game. He's
so fired.
Robbie Anderson catches the little out route right into the chain guy.
The chain guy took him down.
The chain guy, we'll show you the second angle, after this one. Actually, a pretty great tackle.
Yeah,
he wrapped him up good and brought him down with him.
Yeah,
look at this. There's nothing Anderson could have done there. Big contact there. He wrapped him up, though. He did good.
And I love how he threw him
should be
down.
signed by the Jets. Jared Keller, the Hail Mary. intended for the cheerleader. What I think actually happened was this was a designed throwaway. Watch the receiver; he's not even paying attention, but it still looks pretty funny.
Yeah, that was great.
Speaking of cheerleaders,
no.
wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Boom! She gets struck, and he keeps going. By the way, like he doesn't really slow down. Like
she
I don't
got
know,
ranked
did he just not care? Did he not realize
She
it?
got
She got back up, and here we got the Raiders mannequin chugging there. First off, if you look closely, there's quite a bit that's going down, and you can kind of see it falling down there.
Yeah, he's kind of failing.
Yeah, that one was not good. This might be the new table breaking, I think, in the fan segment of Bruh. Speaking of
Just
table
kidding.
breaking,
Here's the table.
Bills Mafia, I love you guys. Never, ever change. They had some issues setting it up. They got it set up finally here. He lays it down, and everyone goes nuts with it. First off, they throw the table. It catches somebody in the face because they threw it back at the guy. This one, though, was the table breaking. No, okay. So first try comes up short. I think he caught him right in the groin. He's in some pain. So he tells him to feel better.
Elbow right. The guy's in so much
So hey,
pain.
we're gonna try it again because we want to get this one right from the top
Get up
rope.
on that car.
We're gonna try it again with the people's elbow table breaking move, all right? So they tried it again. Now he
the
knows
top rope.
that he's got to jump farther, and he nails it. And the guy closest to the camera just drinks his beer. The other guy was in some obvious pain there.
Oh my God.
But Bills Mafia does not take the cake this week. This is a Jaguars fan.
Is that a Batman mask?
I don't know what he's wearing, but that is a tub full of mayonnaise.
Why?
Why was this a good idea? Why was this fun?
I love how they have a trash can full of empty mayonnaise
Why
cans
was
next
everyone
to
so
the-
excited? So many unanswered questions, but a 10 out of 10 on the belly flop. And welcome back to NFL Daily, folks. Once again, I'm Tom Downey. Alongside me is Mitchell Renz, and we are joined by Andy Holloway of the Fantasy Footballers. Andy, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, happy to be here, guys. Look
Cool,
forward
cool.
to
All right,
talking.
Andy, we're going to start here with some buy low candidates that you have. We'll start with DeMarco Murray. What do you make of him? It was not great week 2.
No, it hasn't been good at all, and I think this is one of the biggest challenges that any fantasy owner has is, you have to make a decision on these players when they struggle out of the gate. And I think my case for DeMarco Murray as a buy low candidate is you're going to have a lot of frustrated fantasy owners that essentially they invested a high pick on DeMarco Murray with the promise of last year, and they haven't received it yet. And there's impatience, and there's 0-2 teams. And look, you're going to make a gamble pick on some of these guys, and maybe you're going to end up wrong. But I think DeMarco Murray is a foundational piece of that roster. And so my argument is basically the same argument I would make if a player like Devonta Freeman went down with a hamstring injury. He's the foundational back in that offense. He's the piece that they paid the big money to, and DeMarco Murray's 29 years old. So I think that while it's not very comfortable to own him right now, you might be able to take advantage of some owners in your league. And yeah, maybe this next game he's splitting time with Henry because he's low reps due to the hamstring, but these are the gambles we have to take. And so for me, I think a buy low candidate is DeMarco Murray based on what we saw last year.
Next guy on your list here, Andy, is a guy that's near and dear to my heart because I have plenty of shares in him this year, Isaiah Crowell. He's killed me the first 2 weeks. You say hold on to him.
I think that running backs are hard to find. I think that's the reality in fantasy football. So, if you're a David Johnson owner, you know what that means. You've scrambled and you've gone out and you've taken your shot on a Bilal Powell or an Adrian Peterson or a Shane Vereen or a Chris Thompson. I mean, running backs that are the starting running back and the only, 2-down banger, they're difficult to find. And so I think, again, people are frustrated with the draft capital that they invested on Isaiah Crowell, and you can take advantage of that frustration. Now, do I think he's going to have a top 10 year? Probably not. This team is down in a lot of games. But last week we saw Chris Hogan have to come into the game with the migraine to Kaiser, and I think that disrupted a lot of their game plan. That's why you saw limited carries for Crowell. And again, I think this is just trying to be patient as a fantasy owner and realize the fact that if you chase points, like if an owner goes out and they run after Chris Thompson, I think you're making a mistake. There's very limited touches for Chris Thompson. If he doesn't score, you're in trouble. Whereas Isaiah Crowell gives you a baseline, just like Terrence West does. And Mitchell, what do you think about Isaiah Crowell? You skeptical?
I'm still kind of not sold on Isaiah Crowell. I went back and I watched his tape. I mean, we were lucky enough where you guys gave us that opportunity at the Fantasy Footballers, and I went back and he had 16 carries last year at the end of games where there was just kind of running out of the draw play, and that's why his yards per carry was up so high. But that team just has not looked good, and that he doesn't do it for me. For me personally, I'm a Duke Johnson fan, but like you said, we always say at the Ballers, opportunity is key, and he does have opportunity right now. So. But no, I'd like to go on to a waiver wire if that's okay with you. We can jump into one of your guys, J.J. Nelson. I mean, your guys are huge Cardinals fans. I know that. So what's going on in Arizona, Andy? It looks ugly right now.
Yeah, we can be Cardinals fans and we can be realists at the same time, and we're grimacing over here. We're not buying Monday Night Football tickets out here. That's how we feel right now because we understand, look, the Cardinals are the oldest team in the NFL right now. That is a depressing feeling when you look around and you've got Carson Palmer in your backfield and you see Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz running around and he is a statue in a very bad pocket with no offensive line and no weapons. And, you know, last week I took a leap. I went out on Twitter and I said, look, I don't think John Brown's going to play. You need to add J.J. Nelson. I had a lot of negative feedback saying, okay, this is a homer pick. No, it's Jaron Brown. No, you don't know what you're talking about. But if you've been around the Cardinals long enough, J.J. Nelson is somebody that does have a rapport with Carson Palmer. And he's the only one that can stretch the field on that entire offense. You've never seen Jaron Brown and come out and give you consistent performances in fantasy where you have with J.J. Nelson, even with John Brown and Larry Fitzgerald being productive. So it was just a numbers game there. You only have so many pass catchers in that offense. We knew they wouldn't move the ball with Kerwin Williams. We knew they wouldn't move the ball with Chris Johnson and no David Johnson. So while it is bleak, see, this is the beauty of being a fantasy analyst. Your home team can be a bleak situation, and you can be distracted by 31 other teams. Thank goodness for that. But I think J.J. Nelson is a great pickup this week because John Brown's going to be out again. He's got the sickle cell trait. Who knows when John Brown comes back? And it's an unfortunate thing for John Brown because I'm a big fan. But J.J. Nelson, I think, is a great waiver wire pickup, and he's somebody you can get for probably 5% of your fab budget.
Cool. The next guy then on your list is Shamaje Perine, who was also in my waiver wire article as well. What do you like about him this week and maybe going forward?
Yeah, I mean, you said it when you talked about Isaiah Crowell, even though you weren't a big fan. Opportunity is king. And with Perine, you have Oklahoma's leading rusher of all time. You have an opportunity, whereas essentially Rob Kelly, we know it's not fractured, but the odds of him playing this week are probably low. And so if you're in a pickle and you need somebody that has long-term upside, look at last year. Look at what happened to Jordan Howard. All it took was an opportunity to give him more of the running back share. And maybe Perine has the opportunity to run with that. At worst, you've got a 1 week start, I think, with Perine. So I think he has to get picked up just due to youth and opportunity.
Well, when I look at Perine, I see a lot of Michael Turner, to be honest. I mean, what do you think of a comparison like that? And when you see a guy who's getting 21 carries a week, do you see the Michael Turner comparison? We'll start there.
No, I do. The low center of gravity. I mean, you watch him play, and that's exactly what I saw. I saw hesitance in his first game, and you know, I don't know if you hear us talk about Jay Gruden coming out and say we don't forget fumbles. I don't understand that coaching philosophy. If Andy Reid employed that coaching philosophy,
yes,
Kareem Hunt wouldn't have had those 2 weeks. And so it's a
totally
mistake.
agree.
And you saw like Robert Kelly ran with confidence, and he had a great game. Like Robert Kelly ran better than Shamaje Perine. But if Perine's going to get the start, I think a lot of people are going to make this decision. They're going to say, do I get Perine or do I pay for Thompson? And I say go with the volume. Go with the volume with Perine, 15 to 20 carries. If Chris Thompson doesn't catch a pass for a touchdown, you're going to be disappointed. So I understand the Michael Turner comparison. I hope he runs with a little more freedom this week, and we get a chance to actually see that talent from Oklahoma.
Awesome. Next guy is a tight end, and he is definitely up there in age. He might even be older than you. I'm not really sure. But
I'm pretty sure. Well, you know what? You're going to have to look that up.
Oh, really?
It's tough
I'll be honest, Andy. I don't know how old you are.
Why don't you vet that for me? Yeah, let's vet that. You tell me his age, and I'll tell you whether he's got me beat. But look, Jason Witten, I don't know what else you can say about this guy. And nobody wants to put him on the roster. It's all due to age. It's the Frank Gore argument. And all he does is go out, and through 2 weeks, he's the number one tight end. 10 for 97 and a touchdown last week. And here's my case for Jason Witten and spending a little bit of fab dollars. And did you find that age? Do you know what it is now?
He's 35 years old.
Okay, I'm younger than Jason Witten. Thank you very much. He is
Congratulations.
older than I am. Thank you. That is a life accomplishment for sure. Although depressing considering how productive he is at his age. But anyways, look, Jason Witten, he just gets it done. And here's my case for him is Dak Prescott. This year, you're looking at a Dez Bryant situation where, yes, they're going to pepper him with targets. But the matchups that Dez Bryant has the remainder of the year against these top-tier cornerbacks,
They're tough.
you're going to have another option. I mean, this last week, you had efficiency problems with Dez Bryant. 7 catches on 15 targets, whereas Witten had 10 catches on 13 targets. It was more efficient to go Witten's direction. The Cardinals this past week just gave up 8 catches to Jack Doyle. I think it's a great start in week 3, and I'm willing to spend some money because you guys know this. Even the top-tier tight ends, Eifert, banged up. Graham, banged up. Olsen, he's out. Gronk, banged up. I mean, Reed, banged up. The list goes on. The options are few. Do you want to play Austin Hooper and bounce between, a big play and 1 reception, or do you want to play a guy with 15 targets?
Yeah, that's an easy one.
That's my case. That's my case.
We actually we just got a question from Colt Bundy, and it's what about Adam Thielen on the waiver wire?
Oh, well, I mean, you got to pick up Adam Thielen. I said this the other day. Adam Thielen, I don't know if I've ever seen him drop a pass. I mean, the mitts on that guy, his ability to get open, his flexibility inside and outside. You are playing the waiting game with Sam Bradford, but I think that's a really reactionary move for somebody to drop him to the waiver wire. So I think you pick him up, you wait for Bradford, and when Bradford's there, you've got a top 24 guy.
All right, Andy, thank you so much for coming on today's show. Everyone can follow him on Twitter at Andy Holloway. Once again, he is the host of the Fantasy Footballers podcast. Andy, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to stop by.
Thanks, buddy.
No problem, guys. Good luck. Take care.
Thank you, Andy. A little bit of breaking news here, actually. While we were talking with Andy, not super fantasy related because it involves a defensive player, but we're gonna mention it anyway. There was a trade. The Saints have dealt Stephon Anthony to the Miami Dolphins. This is former first-round pick out of Clemson, Stephon Anthony, for an undisclosed draft pick. And the Dolphins, of course, just went through a very odd and peculiar situation with one Lawrence Timmons, who has now been suspended indefinitely. Here's their replacement.
That's pretty interesting to me. Hopefully it helps their defense, but
Anthony's been kind of behind in a not great Saints defense, so we'll see what ends up there. Maybe a change of scenery helps him out, but we wanted to get you that. We wanted to get you guys that breaking news there. Again, today's show is brought to you by the Draft app. Head to draft.com/chatsports. They'll give you a free entry when you sign up if you use promo code chatsports.
man, free entry, Christmas. It's like free Christmas presents. I mean, that's really.
It's in a money league too, by the way, so they will give you a free entry to go win some money.
I do like money.
I know you do.
That's why I'm here.
And if you guys love daily fantasy, you should be playing Draft. It's the new Snake Draft fantasy app. Highlights what we love so much about live fantasy sports. You mentioned it. It is the Draft, Mitchell. Lets you draft a team whenever you want, anytime. No worries about the salary caps, the waiver wires, any of that stuff. Daily fantasy snake drafts, they take minutes to complete. So what are you waiting for, guys? Download the app and register to start drafting today. Again, a free $3 entry when you head to draft.com/chatsports and use promo code chatsports when you sign up.
Awesome.
Head now to a fun little game we call Keep, Trade, or Cut. Some notable players that haven't really had the type of start we were expecting. A.J. Green was drafted in pretty much every league, at least as a second-round wide receiver. Look, he's got 104 yards, but he hasn't put up those true wide receiver one numbers you were expected. It's kind of gotten some owners antsy, like, hey, the Bengals offense has looked awful. Do I trade him? Like, what do you do there?
I still think you hang on to A.J. Green. I don't think you can trade him because you're not going to get the value that what you paid for him, and you definitely can't cut him. But let's think about how bad the Bengals have been, and he still has 10 catches for 141 yards, and last season he was on pace to have over 100 yards a game. He is an elite wide receiver. It's only going to go up from here, I assure you that.
And folks, get your reaction votes in. I am totally keeping A.J. Green, or I'm trading for him. A backdoor, haha, right
Ooh.
there. This one is near and dear to my heart. Jimmy Graham has killed me for 2 straight weeks, and I got good value on him in a draft, and I think a lot of people did, but for some, they took this guy pretty high with the expectation he would be a top 5 tight end. He's been a bottom 5 tight end, if that.
Well, I definitely thought he would be a top 5 tight end. I think the numbers were due to come up, but I'll give a shout out to one of my friends, Nate Hamilton, who's been talking down on Jimmy Graham, and just in the fact that the Seahawks just don't use him right. He's in the wrong offense, and he is not a blocker, and he is a pass catcher, and yet they don't throw him the ball, and I don't know what.
I've been throwing Luke Wilson the ball. They've been
Luke
giving
Wilson.
Tanner McAvoy end zone targets. Like
Who the heck is that?
the former Wisconsin quarterback / safety.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Not
there you
Jimmy
go.
Graham.
So you say keep in the end? And
Yeah, I'm still going to hang on to Jimmy Graham. Just like Andy was saying before, there's a lot of injuries, and if Jimmy Graham can maybe find his way on the field, I think the Seahawks, they always kind of start slow, and I want Jimmy Graham to be able to perform at the end of the year.
one more for you, then we'll get into our Ask Mitchell live segment of today's show. Carson Palmer, what do you do here?
Oh, man. Carson Palmer has not looked good. The Cardinals have not looked good without David Johnson. Quarterback is really deep. If there's other options on your waiver wire, better options, maybe like a Trevor Siemian I could consider taking. Deshaun Watson I probably wouldn't do, but I don't know. He's probably my 18th quarterback, so if you're maybe in a 2-quarterback league, you can keep him. But, I mean, if somebody wants him, go for it. Trade him.
I mean, I've been taking him in the approach that I took him in a couple drafts. Like, hey, I took Andrew Luck. I need a quarterback, and I like Palmer's early season schedule. He has not paid off in those first 2 weeks.
That's
So
an understatement.
I think I'm going to look in a different direction here. Folks, we now head to the Ask Mitchell Live segment. If you tweet at Mitchell using the hashtag AskMitchellLive, we can get your questions on air here. This one from Will Garcia. He asks, is Brandon Marshall dropworthy now? He has the opportunity to add Mohamed Sanu.
Is he drop-worthy? I think so, which it kind of hurts me to say that because I was one of the higher guys on Marshall, but I don't know if I'd pick up Sanu. I think there's better options out there. He didn't make my waiver wire article. I would probably pick up 4 or 5 other wide receivers who are under 30% owned. So check out my waiver wire article, get that wide receivers.
Sean McDonald asks that he just traded Dez for Carlos Hyde. His other receivers are Jordy Nelson, Terrell Pryor, Adam Thielen, and Snead. Do you like that move for him? I'm under the impression that he was needy at halfback.
Yeah, see, I would have liked it if Jordy Nelson wouldn't have gotten hurt, but now with Nelson hurt, we still don't really know. Snead's out in another game, and Carlos Hyde, you want to talk about a guy who gets injured. Carlos Hyde's definitely a guy who cannot stay on the field. He's looked okay so far this season, but still, no, I don't think he's had a touchdown in 10 straight games.
This one from Mike Bonneville asks, will Mixon and Erickson emerge from the Cincy pool of uncertainty? And also, what is Tyler Boyd's status?
Tyler Boyd's status is coin flip.
It's up in the air. There was a report that his practice efforts was the issue, and then Boyd said, well, no one's told me that.
I think it's his talent issue. I think it's more of that. Erickson, I wouldn't worry about him. But for Mixon, I could argue that Mixon's the most talented rookie running back coming out of this draft class, and he just has to get the opportunity. He's behind guys like Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill, and it's very frustrating. But I think if Mixon gets the opportunity, and I think it's about to happen because stuff is about to go on fire in Cincinnati.
I think you're right. One more question here from the Twitter question says, what would you suggest for the running back situation in New York and Washington?
For the Giants, Orleans Dark was not it. Shane Vereen's probably not it.
Maybe in a deep PPR league?
Maybe in a deep PPR league. And then the other one was
Paul Perkins.
Oh, yeah, Paul Perkins does not look good whatsoever.
Yeah,
but
it's not great.
I would stay away from the Giants'
Yeah.
offense right now, especially the running game. That offensive line does not look good. And we want guys who have at least a chance to score, and they're just not anywhere near the end zone.
And then the Redskins halfback?
It's
Fields?
Samaje Perine. I like Samaje Perine the best. Like I said before, I think he compares well to Michael Turner. I think Rob Kelly is a glorified fullback, and Chris Thompson's better in PPR, but he only had, I believe, 7 touches last week, which is kind of hard to sustain that kind of production. But if Perine gets another 20 carries, even if he only gets like 15, that's the production, and that's what I'm going to go after.
This question coming in on Facebook from Wyatt Beard asks, Pryor or Parker in PPR for Week 3?
Ooh, man, I'm going to go Parker. I think Parker can light up the Jets, and we just saw Crabtree just score 3 touchdowns on him, and Oakland put up 45, so I'm going to go with Parker.
These are both kind of actually decent matchups, I think.
Yeah, no, they're both decent, but I'm going to go with Parker. It's just my gut.
No one's going to be able to cover him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of
It's
people
the Jets.
can't cover Pryor, so.
All right, this one coming in from Eric Dotson says, who's a better start, Jordan Howard or Buck Allen? And this is a question that if you had asked this Week 1, you'd been like, play Jordan Howard, but now.
I don't know if Howard's going to play.
Yeah.
Tariq
shoulder.
Cohen has looked really good. He looks way better with that offense, but I'm going to go with Javoris. He's 20 touches. He's averaging 20 touches a game. He's catching the ball, and the Ravens have another easy matchup. I'm pretty sure Cam Rodgers has made the schedule up for the Ravens this year. First 3 weeks are so easy, but go with Buck Allen.
All right, folks, thank you for all of your questions. Once again, I'm Tom Downey. That is Mitchell Renz. For those of you confused why I'm wearing a Joe Flacco jersey, I lost the bet. Each week, we do a live draft on the Draft app, and this week I came in last out of the 4 of us, me and you. I feel dirty. I don't like wearing this jersey at all. I mean, I think it looks okay. But
I would definitely swipe right on you.
thank you. I appreciate that. Again, folks, today's show was brought to you by the Draft app. It is the best fantasy app out there right now. It's the highest rated fantasy app as well.
And it's super easy to use. I mean, you guys saw how easy it was for us to just do a draft in just 5 minutes, and it's awesome to do with your buddies if you guys are hanging out. And to be honest, you could probably even do a draft at a stoplight. Wouldn't encourage it, but probably could be done.
You play in a real live snake draft, be done in under 5 minutes, and they last for just the 1 week, so no salary caps, no waiver wire stuff. Sure, if you have a guy get hurt, like, oh, that sucks for your week, but you get to do it all again next week, and you're not beholden to those long-term injuries. You play for cold hard cash as well, and your chances of winning are 80% better than the salary cap type sites.
Well, 80% better, and you get money. It's a no-brainer, guys. Do it.
And all players get a free entry into a real money draft when they sign up at draft.com/chatsports and use promo code chatsports when you sign up. They're giving you money to use and then go earn more money.
You're giving me money to do fantasy football.
It's a win-win.
It's a dream come
There
true.
might be an extra stray win in there as well. Again, folks, that is promo code chatsports. Head to draft.com/chatsports. They'll give you that free $3 entry. That will do it for us on today's show on NFL Daily. We'll be back again tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Tom Downey. That's Mitchell Renz. Big shout out to producer Brett Scott and our guest Andy Holloway. You guys stay classy out there.